Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Wednesday, May 29th, 2024. This is live stream 1062. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. We just hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and then I will normally pontificate about a topic related to our hobby, which I shall be doing tonight. But of course, when you're out watching videos here on the channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. But once again, super casual, just hanging out, just having fun. We are certainly not engaged in rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Should also mention, because this is a live show, that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. One of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in and I will do my best to respond. If for some reason, like a little hair or something hanging on the side of my nose, driving me crazy. In fact, as I was starting the show, I bumped my keyboard. So the little buttons that I hit so it'll change scenes and that, it kind of took the highlight away from that. So I'm sitting there like, come on, damn it, change to the camera. So that's why when it went to me, I'm like, oh, hey, I'm live. All right, first out the gate tonight in chat is our good friend of the show, the Madman. He is with us. He happens to be one of our chat moderators. Semper Buffo, Kevin King, Matthew Blackwell, Kathy Evans. They are also hanging out in chat with us. And I will take a guess. The lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is also lurking in the shadows. I see Mark Dandy and Sean O'Donnell are also popping on in. Says, move things 1 inch. Suddenly he doesn't know where anything is. Nothing physically moved. The highlight moved. Sean O'Donnell always seems to have a stick up his ass for some reason. I don't know why. I'm just joking. And yes, Sarah D says, she is with us. She's saying howdy to the gang. So welcome, everybody. Got plenty of news tonight. As our topic, I am going to talk about piracy, online piracy. And will online piracy eventually spell doom for tabletop role-playing games? We will discuss. Sean O'Donnell says, he got me. Chuck Terrell's also with us. Good to see you, Chuck. So that is our topic tonight. But of course, We are going to rock on through the news first before I get to that. So let's dive right on in, because now available in stores is the horror companion for the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. I've got the dope from Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Unleash a world of terror. The Savage Worlds Horror Companion provides everything you need to create tales of heart-stopping horror, all in the award-winning Savage Worlds rules system. This 202-page hardcover book updates the original horror companion to be completely compatible with Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. Inside this book, you'll find new character options, including edges and hindrances and options to become the monster and play a creature of supernatural origins. Narrative Lodge rules. Build a base of operations for your intrepid band, upgrade and maintain it over the course of their investigations, and deal with an array of blood-chilling events and obstacles. There are new rules reflecting unique tropes of horror gaming and suggesting setting rules to recreate different styles of spine-tingling stories, including expanded fear effects. There's a selection of horrific arcane items, each with a haunted history. Some may be rewards discovered in the course of an investigation, while others may be a powerful relic leading the group into danger. There are new arcane backgrounds and powers that expand the supernatural options for your chosen realm of horror. An extensive bestiary featuring dozens of monsters from all kinds of horror tales. Also included is a section on bringing the unknown terrors of the Cthulhu mythos to your Savage Worlds game. So gather your courage, light a candle, and prepare to face your worst nightmares. The horror companion will leave you screaming for more. This 202-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $39.99. You can grab just the PDF loan over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. And I will take a guess that the Madman has a copy of this. I am pretty sure that he actually supported the Kickstarter. So Kevin King says they've got the earlier version of the Horror Companion. They wonder what's new in the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. I don't know. Outside of what I've just shared with that sell sheet info, that is pretty much all I know. Funny enough, looking at the image that's popping up right now, I like the image of Cthulhu that they've got, except for the fact that Cthulhu just sort of looks too bipedal. I always picture Cthulhu as kind of bloated, sort of, here he's looking all buff like he's been working out. He's been working out down in Relaya. Yeah, there you go. He's been lifting monoliths. Kind of curious how this is. So we shall maybe find out. I don't know, strangely enough. I was getting some stuff from Pinnacle Entertainment Group. I don't know if they didn't care for the reviews or what, because I haven't really heard from them since. I don't know. Tony Urquides, Agile Monk, and Kevin R. Smith are popping on into chat with us tonight. So Kevin R. Smith is saying, are you talking about changes to general rules in the Adventure Edition or specific changes to the Horror Companion? I have a feeling that Kevin King is asking about the changes in the Companion. So, don't know. Moving right along, another release that is hitting print is coming from Cubicle 7 Games. It actually lands in stores this week. It might even be in your friendly local game store right this moment. And here's what I know about Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory Redacted Records 2. When shields sunder and weapons falter, only faith endures. Step into the embattled Gilead system, a forsaken haven of humanity amidst the writhing chaos of the Circatrix maledictum. Wield the sacred motive force to flay your foes as an electro priest, or take up the emperor's blessed arms and wage war in his name as a sister dogmata. Redacted Records 2 is an invaluable resource for players and game masters alike. Suffused with scriptures of righteous destruction and technological liturgies to empower your games of wrath and glory with an abundance of new ways to play, the book is packed with 8 fervent new archetypes, from the Adeptus Mechanicus to the Adeptus Sororitas. Powerful holy relics, hallowed locations, and a host of new talents for players to customize their characters. Redacted Records 2 is a treasure trove of content for games of wrath and glory, featuring rules for generating unique ancient items of myriad forms and functions, perfect for game masters that want to create blessed artifacts or malign relics of terrible power. 8 ready-to-play archetypes from the Adeptus Mechanicus and Adeptus Mystorum, a collection of sacred shrines across the Gilead system, each with a built-in adventure and a mysterious secret. Patrons of the Ecclesiarchy and Adeptus Mechanicus, each with their own engaging missions and the spiritual backgrounds of the Gilead system. There's expanded Ascension packages for the Triumphal Faithful, talents for character customization, and Blessed War Gear, a wealth of material for any pious role player. This 96-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $34.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. This is the second of the Warhammer 40K Wrath and Glory releases, which are hitting stores. Very nice, very nice. I keep saying it's cool to see Cubicle 7 Games continue to support Wrath and Glory when they release their own Warhammer 40K role-playing game. We'll say Wrath and Glory does have a far higher power level than Adeptus. What the hell is it? Isn't it Adeptus Mechanicus? No. It is Adeptus Maledictorium. Boy, I love how that just, rolls off your tongue, right? All right, let's see. Who else do we have in chat here? The Werewolf is with us, as is Omenal. It's been a while since we saw Omenal. Lord Cost 2000 is also popping on in. Very nice. Very nice. Moving right along. Funny enough, our news pieces are all from our usual suspects. I thought it was kind of odd, kind of peeking around. It was like, okay, well, all right. So something else that is now available in print is Star Trek Adventures, the Federation Klingon War Tactical Campaign. And here's the skinny from Modiphius Entertainment. The Federation Klingon War Tactical Campaign expands upon the core Star Trek Adventures role-playing game experience by providing a campaign that parallels the Klingon War story arc depicted in the first season of Star Trek Discovery. And of course, make sure your Klingons speak very slowly, as if they don't even understand their own language. So that's a key point to your role-playing campaign. This tactical campaign enables you and your group to explore what was happening elsewhere in the Federation during this perilous time, with a plethora of additional rules variations to embrace the emotional toil of being thrust into a war. This campaign gives you the tools to build exciting narratives during the war. Additionally, this book includes rules for an all-new procedurally generated campaign overlay that gives players the opportunity to take on the roles of admirals, assigning assets to deal with Klingon threats across the galaxy. How will war take its toll on you and your allies? The Federation Klingon War Tactical Campaign is a 232-page hardcover and contains an extensive discussion of the state of the galaxy before and during the Federation Klingon War in 2256 and 2257. An in-depth look at 12 wartime roles, along with how typical Starfleet roles change during wartime. A new system that applies scars to characters, representing the toll war has had on them. 15 new talents focusing on both the tactical and diplomatic theaters of war. More than 25 named starships, Federation and Klingon, that were part of the war effort. 6 new playable species, including Anar, Arcadian, Aurelio, or Areolo, I guess I should say, Betelgeusian, Caridonites, and Megarites. Over 20 focused mission briefs, including tactical, routine, exploration, and unknown mission options. A wealth of advice on game mastering wartime campaigns and ensuring all players feel safe while playing in war campaigns. An optional campaign overlay that puts the players in the role of admirals while making decisions about the war effort, as well as optional rule sets that enhance the tactical side of role-playing. Do want to mention, this campaign does require the Star Trek Adventures rulebook in order to use it. This 232-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $45.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $18. I would have to say that this is probably the last major Star Trek Adventures supplement for first edition. I don't think they've got anything else that's major coming out for first edition Star Trek Adventures, because second edition Star Trek Adventures is slated to be released at Gen Con in August. And I am looking forward to checking that out. I'm hoping we get an opportunity to take a peek. Cistern and Russell Higgins are with us in chat. Good to see you both. Welcome aboard. All right. So Russell Higgins says, I don't have $18. Shutter Dowdle says, that's why we're talking about piracy, Russell. Well, we are not condoning it. We're discussing it. And for those of you out there, I'm not saying those watching live do, but I guarantee there are some folks who will tune in and watch this after the fact who do engage in role-playing game piracy. After we discuss it tonight, I hope you reconsider your stance. Let's move on to our next news piece, because the Doug Kovacs-fueled Hobonomicon gets a 4th issue, and here's the latest from Goodman Games. The Hobonomicon contains material for use with the Dungeon Crawl Classics role-playing game. The long-awaited 4th book includes new materials for Inferno. I started to say Internal Road. Doesn't sound very entertaining. It's Inferno Road. Escape from Planet Punjar. A new Dungeon Crawl Classic spell. More Death of a Reaver. The story of a Dungeon Crawl Classics band, and the usual huge serving of quality art. Scabrous logic and indolent madness in the form of a 32-page, 8x5 by 11-inch booklet with wanton colored cover, cradling depraved black and white interior pages of Gnosis. This scene is available now for an MSRP of $15. So Russell Higgins says, is it Hobonomicon or Hobonomicon? I don't know, because I saw an issue of this, an earlier issue, with artwork of, I guess it was kind of a shabby wizard. So I was like, is it Hobonomicon, Hobonomicon? You know what? It probably is Hobonomicon, because that just is far more difficult to say. So it's got to be that, right? I should mention that the art that you're getting a chance to look at in these photographs is from the Exalted Funeral website, because you can order this from Goodman Games, or you can also order this from Exalted Funeral. To my knowledge, there is no PDF. It is only the physical book that's available. So keep that in mind. Cracks the Bold is with us. Says we need a role-playing games for free or almost free show. This has nothing to do with my wife finding my large shipment of OSR books on our doorstep this afternoon. Well, you got to keep in mind, if you go over to TTRPG, there is tons of freebies that you can get your hands on. Same thing, Itch. Plenty of creators out there with loads of free stuff. Now, is it stuff that you want? I don't know. Kevin King says, so $15 for Doug Kovac's art or $18 for a supplement based on what might be the worst Trek ever written. Tough choice. All right, Kevin King, tell us how you really feel. Final news piece, now available in print and PDF. Everything's in print today. How about that? From Mongoose Publishing is This Is Free Trader Beowulf from author Shannon Appelkline. Here's the skinny. This is Free Trader Beowulf calling anyone. Mayday, Mayday. A box emblazoned with those words went on sale for the first time on July 22nd, 1977 at the 3rd Annual Origins Game Fair, heralding the advent of the Traveler role-playing game from GDW. It wasn't the first science fiction role-playing game, but through its innovative design and through the development of its evocative universe of charted space, it would become the longest-running science fiction role-playing game in the industry. However, its path would not be simple. After Traveler reached its early epigee just 4 years in, it would face decades of increasing problems, raising many questions. Why did GDW decide to shatter their imperium? What led them to seek outside help to produce the second edition of the game? Why did they abandon the Traveler game system with their next revision? How could such a popular publisher face bankruptcy just 2 decades on? Similarly, what happened to Imperium Games, Quick Link Interactive, and others who followed in GDW's footsteps as the inheritors of the Traveler legacy? And finally, how did Mongoose Publishing reach into the past and bring Traveler back to its position as the industry's best-loved science fiction role-playing game? Okay, that's their words, not mine. This volume answers those questions and more. It tracks Traveler from its inspirations in the early 1970s through its initial publication and across 7 distinct editions of its original 2D6 gaming system. It reveals the stories of Traveler's 3 major publishers, GDW, Imperium Games, and Mongoose, as well as many licensees. More importantly, it tells how Traveler fell into increasing darkness before descending into a long night, and how it rose again as a phoenix. This is from the author of Designers and Dragons, which told the story of the entire role-playing industry, comes the intimate history of a single role-playing game, culled from hundreds of primary sources and interviews. This 296-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $59.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone for $30 over at Drive-Thru RPG. As I had mentioned before, I really enjoyed reading through Designers and Dragons. It's the 4 volumes. I think there was a 5th volume for some strange reason, I think came out. I have not picked that up. I have not taken a peek at that. I think it's like the 2010s is what it tackles. But really enjoyed the first 4 volumes of that. And This is going to take you deep inside the history of Traveler. Kind of cool, kind of cool. And it does look like it's got a good amount of illustration to it. Got to appreciate that as well. All right, that is it for the news this evening. Of course, I was just talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit Drive-Thru RPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, or Game Vault, what have you, by all means, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do go a long way to keeping thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like tonight's video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Delish. And there are a few of you out there who do stop by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make not small donations. So want to definitely call out Joshua Edwards, Agile Monk, and the Madman. And of course, Russell Higgins just busted out a big super chat last night. Thank you very kindly. Much appreciated. So, as I had mentioned early on, tonight I am going to discuss online piracy in the tabletop role-playing game industry. And if I think it is going to be the eventual death knell of the hobby. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Citizens. I'm taking a holiday from crime fighting in Gotham City. No rest from danger, though, because all around us is that deadly daily danger, traffic. I admire the way all you British children triumph over this danger by learning and using the road safety code, like curb drill. Before crossing the road, you stop at the curb, look right, look left, look right again, and then only if the road is clear, walk quickly across. Now, children, how does it go? At the curb, stop. Look right, look left, look right again. If all's clear, walk quickly across. Remember, be smart, be safe. Always do your curb drill.
Howdy, stranger. I hear you don't drink Wilkins coffee.
Yeah, so what?
Now, are there any other strangers in town?
In the backwoods of the Everglades, the boys had only the storekeeper's woman to talk about.
You want something, Cal?
I sure do, honey.
I know how to take care of a woman like you, Liz.
Then, out of the swamp's depths, again appears horrifying, mysterious creatures, thirsting for lovers' blood. What are these giant mutations whose attack on people sends the whole countryside on an endless search?
Whatever killed those people is still in that lake, and it's going to take more than dynamite to get it out.
And then brings them back to life to gratify their distorted desires.
I know how to take care of a woman like you. Now give Daddy a little sugar. Yes, I remember that episode of MST3K. What an awful movie. That movie is available to watch for free on multiple outlets on YouTube. And strangely enough, the leeches, when they're like attached to that woman, strangely erotic. It's like, what the hell? I have to laugh though, because oh, there we go. Russell Higgins says, there she is, the giant leech, AKA Gold Digger. If I remember right, I think the blonde that gets killed, I think they all get killed. So Madman says, yes, they remember watching Attack of the Giant Leeches. Thinks it was on MST3K as well. Like I said, I seem to remember because the movie's like an hour and 10 minutes long. That's it. And I do think it may have been a Roger Corman film. But like I said, I think all the major characters end up buying the farm. Steven from Roll for Combat is with us. What was going on with that Batman long take at the end? Yeah, you could seriously tell that Adam West was not digging holding that kid, and that kid didn't look too happy about it either. It's just like, Chris Lundgren's with us in chat, as is Cracks the Bold. Cracks the Bold said they watched I Buried the Living from the other night. It was pretty good if you love old black and white cheesy horror movies. And Cracks does. All right, so tonight we're going to discuss online piracy with the tabletop role-playing game industry. And we actually have someone who is involved in the role-playing game industry in chat with us right now. Stephen from Roll for Combat. In fact, I think earlier today was a live stream, and it was about day-to-day operations with a role-playing game company. So if you're curious about that, you can most definitely take a peek at Roll for Combat's latest live stream. So let's talk a little bit about online piracy of tabletop role-playing games. And I know my title is, will it be the end of tabletop role-playing games and so on and so forth? Obviously enough, no. Let's get that out of the way. Will it be the death knell of the role-playing game industry? As Kevin R. Smith has pointed out, they don't think so. I don't think so either. But I will tell you what online piracy is doing to the hobby, and if it continues at the growing rate that it's currently on a path to, it's going to create huge problems, especially for smaller publishers. And we will discuss why, especially smaller publishers who look to produce physical books. Chris Burkhart is with us in chat. Good to see you. Gleam Money RX or Gleeman Prescription, not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced, is also hanging out with us in chat. They've been here for a wee bit now. Anyway, I would assume most people out there who have any understanding of role-playing game piracy, they know the various different locations you can go and try to track stuff down. I am not going to discuss those places. But suffice to say, I have pointed out in the past that I am not opposed to ratting out locations where publishers who I'm tight with, I hear through the grapevine that something is floating around at a website, I will let them know. So I have no problem ratting out pirates. I mean, it's their websites. It's not like I'm saying, oh, Jim Bob over there. Nothing like that. I mean, I'd feel kind of weird ratting a person out. Even though, I don't know. So Kevin King is talking about, somebody's talking about how much those PDFs people pirate and how much those PDFs take to produce. Are we talking about Stephen, like today? Because I had no idea. Seriously, I had no idea. I thought the topic was simply, day-to-day operations of a role-playing game company. Chris Lundgren says, or asks, are there legit websites so you can get games that are not on drive-through? Well, it all depends. Now, I know there are some board games that are out there that effectively their copyright is dead. They've been abandoned. It's what they consider to be an abandoned copyright. And I know I've talked about this one game that I remember, I think I was a freshman in high school when I bought it. And I don't even remember the exact publisher, because the publisher was only around for a year or two, maybe. And it was called Barbarian Prince. And it was really good. And it was a solitaire game. And I know that company's releases, including Barbarian Prince, were available online. I don't know if they're still available online, absolutely free. Didn't have to worry about, stepping on anybody's toes or anything like that. Kevin R. Smith says, I don't think there's any such thing as an abandoned copyright legally in the U.S. I have been informed that there is. That a company can be considered to have abandoned its rights to something. I don't know. Like I said, it's something that had been told to me years ago, probably about 10 years ago or so. But I don't know. I have no idea. I had, like in computer software, there's that term abandonware. Don't know. But all I'm saying is there is a possibility that there are games out there that the creators don't mind that are out there online available for you to download. But of course, that's not what we're talking about. Keldon says, didn't someone buy the TSR copyright because it was abandoned? Matteo says, Dwarf Star Games, that is it. That is the company that made the Barbarian Prince, which is really good. It's really good. It still holds up pretty well. Yes. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about piracy and how it affects the industry. Because there are some companies that will not allow any of their games, any role-playing games, any games that are essentially available as PDFs to be available digitally. And that's anything that comes from Disney. So anything associated with Disney's IPs, you will not find PDFs of their games because of piracy. So that is the reason why Fantasy Flight Games and now Edge Studio does not produce PDFs of the Star Trek role-playing game releases because of that. That is essentially it. So, but the funny thing is, there are pirated copies of those games out there. Just like Wizards of the Coast doesn't sell PDFs of D&D releases. You don't see the Player's Handbook or Dungeon Master's Guide or any of the adventures. You don't see them available in PDF. Now, they are on D&D Beyond, but that is still not PDF. And I do understand that there are ways for you to download the information that's in that release from D&D Beyond, but it still doesn't look like a PDF. Eric R. is popping on in, says, if buying isn't owning, piracy isn't stealing the internet. All right, we're going to get to these things. I am going to point out, though, that tonight's show is not going to be anywhere near as long as last night's show because YouTube has a very nasty habit of taking the longer streams and taking forever to render them so that there's no monetization or anything going on with them for hours. Normally, it's the next morning that I can go in and I can put in the various different ad spots and make sure that like the end screen where it recommends other stuff, that's when I pop that in. Well, last night's show ran about an hour, 40 minutes, and it took 16 hours till I was finally able to do that stuff. And it's just simply when the shows run more than like an hour, 15 minutes, it's just a YouTube thing that is a problem. Flaming Heron asks, is it stealing if someone gifted it to you? Chris Lundgren says, PDFs can be encrypted to protect sensitive information. Encryption uses a password or encryption to decrypt the file, so only people that buy it can see it. But that encryption can be broken very easily. Got to point that out. Just like if you buy PDFs from TTRPG, depending on the publisher, that might actually have some information that is embedded in that file, which has your name in it and other information. And then you might have things where if you try to open a PDF, say in Photoshop, it might ask you for a password. So it might be password protected. Other publishers, they don't bother with the password protection. So it's all differently. Kevin King says, if piracy is not stealing, I've wasted one hell of a lot of money. John Snyder is with us as well tonight. So first of all, what happens with piracy, and of course, if Stephen from Roll for Combat wants to chime in on this stuff, essentially what happens is you're really decreasing the chances of that company to continue to produce content for you to be able to enjoy. And one aspect that I have a problem with a lot of pirates is they're real famous for they like to throw a few things out there, just like we got the asshole-ish, if buying isn't owning, piracy isn't stealing. Well, for one, I don't make the rules. These publishers don't make the rules. This isn't Steam. We're not talking about Steam and Steam saying, oh, well, when you die, you can't leave your games to other people. Okay, that's fine. Whatever, what have you, however they want to do that. But keeping in mind, those games that are on Steam weren't pirated. They were purchased for the most part, unless you're getting free games here and there. But what ends up happening is that it becomes an issue with smaller publishers, especially because this drives people out of the hobby, for one. And I know a lot of folks out there get all upset about AI artwork. Well, the problem is if people are pirating a publisher's work, how can they afford to hire artists? So then suddenly the publishers find themselves looking at AI thinking, well, people want artwork in the book, but I don't sell enough actual copies. So now I've got to turn to AI. And then all of a sudden now that AI is stealing from artists and their work. So you see how this all becomes kind of a real shit show? Ron Belcher is with us. I believe this is the first time visit for Ron, saying, preach it. Eric R. says, an article recently came out about how convoluted it would be to pass on your Steam games to your next of kin. So anyway, what I was going to say is, pirates like to say, oh, I just want to check it out because if I like it, I'll buy it. Now, is that complete bullshit? No, probably not. I'm sure there are folks out there who from time to time will sit there and say, okay, yeah, I just want to see how this game is. And I'm talking about all kinds of games, right? I'm talking computer games too, because of course, computer game piracy is a huge drain on that industry too. And then they say, hey, I like this, I will go buy it. Or in the case of tabletop role-playing games, they pirate the PDF, they read it, they enjoy it, they want to own it. They want to have a physical copy of that. So then they'll go out and buy it, or they'll order it from a retailer, what have you. But those people are few and far between. Most pirates just pirate. And unfortunately, many role-playing game pirates, tabletop role-playing game pirates, pirate a shit ton of stuff. They don't only pirate Call of Cthulhu or Dungeons and Dragons or Traveler. No, everything that comes out, they pirate. So as soon as something becomes available, they just download it and slap it on a big external hard drive, and that's it. So they almost never actually make a purchase, which, of course, now think about it. If we've got a publisher out there, and I know Stephen from Roll for Combat, they move product, but Stephen also knows that they get people who steal their PDFs and share them online or buy them from Roll for Combat or wherever. I believe Stephen had said just recently they started putting some of their stuff up on Drive-Thru RPG, but they didn't previously. Yet I can guarantee you there were Roll for Combat releases that were out there that pirates were trading and sharing. So it's not simply because somebody buys something, say, from Drive-Thru RPG that they're able to, pirate stuff. Flaming Heron says we get stuck with DRM. Kelton said, I heard a rumor that some people take screenshots of video flip-throughs. Yeah, because they did that to a D&D book that I shared a first look at. It was a few years back when I would just, quickly flip through the book so people could see it. And I'll be damned if it did not show up floating around online. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Because the video wasn't that clear. Stephen from Roll for Combat says, that's why we do so much private digital content such as VTTs. You can't really pirate that easily. No, as far as I understand, it's relatively difficult to actually pirate virtual tabletop stuff depending on the actual VTT. Steven says they take down PDFs all the time. It sucks, but we get them taken down fast. It's probably like playing whack-a-mole, to be honest. It's got to be. Agile Monk is saying hello to everybody. I thought Agile Monk's been here for a while. Maybe I'm wrong. So yes, Keldon says, yeah, they do remember me talking about that. Was it the Rime of the Frost Maiden? Was that it? I'm trying to remember. That may have been the book. So anyway, let's talk about like smaller publishers, right? So let's say we've got a small publisher and they need to sell, let's say 500 copies of a book that they have printed in order to profit. Because as Stephen has pointed out before, artwork isn't cheap, the printing process isn't cheap, and these prices go up all the time. Well, so you get this small publisher, they release a game book, and let's say it's even a third-party D&D book, right? Which you have a flooded market already. But let's say they need to sell 500 copies in order to make a tidy profit. And of course, a lot of people don't realize small publishers do not really make money in this hobby. Most of them are in it because they love the hobby. They enjoy dealing with people, so on and so forth. So now that PDF for that book gets out into the wild. And people who are kind of curious about the book, but don't have any qualms about pirating it, now start tracking down copies of this book. Now they got it in PDF. They're like, oh, yeah, it's decent. It's fine. But now they're not going to buy a book. So then you've got this publisher sitting there with books on their hands. Now nobody seems to be buying them. What are they going to do? So that's why you see a lot of creators out there. They only do PDF. They don't even bother going into like physical books or zines or what have you. And then their PDFs get pirated. I can only imagine what a disaster that must be. Because as I mentioned before, I have the rights to Knights and Magic. And there have been times that has popped up on piracy sites. And I've had to do, take down requests and shit like that. And that's a fantasy miniatures game that was never popular. ever. And it's like, yeah, I sell it. I don't really make much out of it, but I make it available to people. And even that pops up on piracy sites. Chris Lundgren says, has Roll for Combat ever ventured into making products in the OSR market? Seems mostly 5th edition. Yeah, 5e and Pathfinder is what Stephen and his team focus on. Some discussion of science fiction role-playing games. I think, I forget who it was in chat, asked what I feel is the best epic science fiction role-playing game. It is Traveler. I just mentioned in that sell sheet information that, I say that about, like, if I were reading something for a third-party D&D release. And it's like, for the world's greatest role-playing game. And it's like, okay, that's those people's words, not mine. In fact, strangely enough, I know we're getting off topic here. I saw something from Chris Birch. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what the release was. It's something that's like 4 or 5e coming from Modiphius. And Chris Birch said, for the world's greatest role-playing game. And I thought to myself, wait a second. What about all the role-playing games that you publish? Why are you saying that D&D is the world's greatest role-playing game? You're kind of poo-pooing your own releases. And yes, I get it. It's just, that's the phrase, right? The world's oldest fantasy role-playing game. The world's greatest fantasy role-playing game. The world's most popular role-playing game. They're all just kind of blurbs that you throw out there. All right. So anyway, something else that I find troubling is that more and more people have no qualms about stealing things from anybody. Just like, I find it really bizarre that, at least to me, and I don't know if this falls into the category of old man yelling at clouds, but it seems to me people are much more comfortable with fucking other people over, which wasn't always the case. It's very strange. And I think this is just an offshoot of that, where we've talked about this before, that there is a portion of the public who feels, because I exist, I deserve to have something because I want it. I want it, thus I must have it. I don't care how I get it. And I think that's part of the problem too. I really do. Where people just don't concern themselves as much as they once did with other people. Chris Lundgren says it's maybe a generational gap. Chris Burkhardt says they've noticed that same phenomena. I know it's weird. I find it very bizarre. And if you watch your local news, you'll see stories that you think to yourself, you're like, wow, 10 years ago, we would have never heard something like this. And it's just people being shitty to other people, people being shitty to strangers. I don't know. Omanel asks, what happens when a company loses a license, such as Modiphius and Conan? What happens to those PDFs? They're no longer available for sale. They cannot be sold. That's what happens to those PDFs. That's why if there's any physical product that's still floating around out there, can't be sold. Modiphius would not be able to sell it. Now, as far as like a liquidator, like could a liquidator have purchased, we're just as an example, when Modiphius Entertainment lost the license for Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of, which they just did. Their team did fantastic work on those books. They really, really did. Or as an example, let's say when Cubicle 7 lost the Tolkien license and the One Ring second edition was then going to go to Free League Publishing. At the point when that license ends, when that agreement ends, then the publisher can no longer legally sell either physical or digital editions of those books. Now, I'm kind of curious because I don't know how much physical inventory Modiphius Entertainment had, because I know they were really pounding hard to sell the physical Conan books at pretty deep discounts towards the end of that license. What I'm kind of curious, I don't know if they could have sold that to a liquidator and then a liquidator could sell it. Like they got Ollie's as an example here in the US. They are a liquidator. To be honest, I don't think they can. So I think at that point in time, that once that license is gone, any physical copies of merchandise is probably just destroyed. So discussion of Frontier Space. There's some discussion of wishing that Star Frontiers would get a new release. So Kevin King says Star Frontiers is on Drive-Thru-RPG. Yeah, I thought I've seen it recently. So John Snyder says Frontier Space is a good replacement for Star Frontiers. There we go. Very cool. Anyway, do I feel that piracy is going to bring down the tabletop role-playing game industry? No. But I feel piracy forces publishers out of the industry, publishers who might be bringing something to the table that you would think was really good, really cool, that you'll never get an opportunity to experience because financially they got squeezed out. Some smaller publishers, well, let's say medium-sized publishers, are probably not as healthy financially as you may think. And it may not take much to sort of push them over the cliff, right? So keep that in mind. I know someone I know online was curious if Free League Publishing has financial problems because every time they turn around, there's a new Kickstarter from Free League Publishing. And this person said, I really like Free League Publishing, but it's everything they do now is on Kickstarter. And hopefully that is not the case. I would guess Free League Publishing is probably doing fairly well. But once again, that is another company I would think gets hit pretty hard by pirates. I would think that Free League Publishing loses a lot of revenue because of pirates. Omanal says they still need to get physical books, usually get the PDF with the book. Yeah, normally if you were to order from that publisher, they'll either give you the PDF through Drive-Thru-RPG, or sometimes they put a code in the back of their book for you to use on their website or on Drive-Thru-RPG to redeem that PDF. So yes, a lot of companies do that. Funny enough, though, and maybe we can use this as a topic for tomorrow. Does the free PDF really incent you to buy from the publisher? I'm kind of curious because I know a lot of folks out there will buy from online retailers because they can save 30, sometimes 40% off the cost of a game or game book. So I think in cases like that, I don't think the PDF is that big a deal. Chris Burkhardt says they're a huge Free League Publishing fan. Love their stuff. Chris Burkhardt also said Iron Crown destroyed all their Middle-earth role-playing game stuff when they lost the license. Yeah, I would think that's what they would have to do because you cannot legally sell it. I don't even know if you could give it away. I do not know. Eric R. says free PDF with physical is the norm unless you're Disney. There are actually a decent number of companies that do not give you a free PDF. Now, there are some that just charge you a small fee. Cobalt Press is one. I think Cobalt Press, the norm is $5 for their PDF. Personally, I think it should be part of the package, like many publishers do. But they do charge usually an extra $5 if you want the PDF. Anyway, so as far as piracy goes, people are going to do it. They're going to continue to do it. I've mentioned before that I think there are some regulars who hang out watching the live streams who will who dabble in piracy themselves, or people who just watch this show, because I find it kind of bizarre. Because, like I said, I will take a peek to see what's going on. If some of my friends in the industry have PDFs popping up that shouldn't be popping up, I will let them know. And on occasion, I'll see people requesting stuff that I shared a news piece of, and it's something relatively obscure. I've also seen stuff where, like, I'll do a review of something maybe relatively obscure, and then suddenly there's a request on the piracy sites, like, hey, has anybody got this? So I'm like, all right. All righty. Omanel says, they use PDF when they play for quick searches. They also read physical books for enjoyment. All right. Anyway, will piracy bring down the tabletop role-playing game industry? No, but I think it will continue to force some publishers to shutter, as in shutter their windows and close, not shake and shutter. And it's bad for the industry. It really is, because all it's going to do is it's going to leave the bigger publishers who can absorb those sorts of losses much better than a smaller publisher, and actually really shrink down your options as far as the gaming space. So Chris Lundgren asks, what about a game master that buys the actual product in PDF, but wants his group of players to have the rules in order to play in his game? Is that okay legally? I don't know. I got to be honest. I cannot answer that question for you. Do people do it all the time? Sure, of course. They do it constantly. They'll take something in a PDF and they might, well, depending on if they can actually access it, if it's not password protected or encrypted, they'll go in there and share, the portion of the book that they want their players to have and things like that. But as Chris Burkhardt points out, they don't think it would be. I don't think it would be either. But people do it. And Agile Monk says, yes, there is abandoned copyright in the United States. I was going to say, there better be. Otherwise, I'm in trouble. Ron Belcher says, contact the publisher. I was going to say, a lot of times, if you're in a situation like that, check to see if there's an SRD or a quick start, because a lot of times a quick start or an SRD is going to give your players the information that maybe you want them to have, and then you don't have to worry about anything. Roll for Combat. Steven says, the thing is almost nobody protects their PDFs. They do. Paizo does. That's about it. Agile Monk says they own patents, copyrights, and trademarks. Aha. Yeah, strangely enough, now Stephen points out that they protect their PDFs, but that protection gets cracked. So I think that's one of the reasons why so many publishers don't really go out of their way to protect their PDFs outside, say, of like Drive-Thru-RPG embedding certain information in that PDF that's not necessarily visible to you. But if a pirated copy were floating around online and then the publisher downloads it and Drive-Thru-RPG can actually decode it and tell you, oh, okay, it was so-and-so. Matthew Perkins is with us in chat asking, what do you mean protecting PDFs? Like some kind of setting on the files? It's essentially, isn't it an access? Wouldn't it be you're providing a certain kind of access, like a read-only access to that file? So Steven says it does get cracked, but it's still one layer to get past. Oh, I'm with you. I understand. I get it. I completely get it. All righty. So that is it for this time out. So once again, like I said, piracy is not going to kill the industry, but it is going to kill off a lot of your options. So at some point in time, if role-playing game piracy continues to grow at the rate it has grown in the last 5 years, it's going to get to the point where you're only going to have a small handful of publishers for you to turn to, other than, itch creators and things like that sort, where maybe they're giving them away so it doesn't matter if it gets pirated, or like Basic Fantasy is available absolutely free. But I do think that if you are involved in pirating various different role-playing game supplements and rule books, things like that, reconsider your position. Think of the other folks who worked hard and invested all their time, energy, and money into those products. It's only fair. All right, so that is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also inform you when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Doctor Who, the role-playing game, 2nd edition, 60 Years of Adventure, books 1 and 2. And of course, I tell you how you can win a copy of both books. In the video, I'm giving away 2 sets in PDF, as I am giving away 2 copies of Alien, the role-playing game, Building Better Worlds, another recent review. So if you have not checked out these videos yet and you are interested in picking these up, by all means, please do. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you. And of course, I also know there are a lot of people out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, Be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on YouTube. All right. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. I hope I see you tomorrow. And of course, as always, I also hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.